So the trolley handle is held on by 3mm screws. So there's 4 of them, 2 on each side. With the screws out of the way, lift the handle up and use it to wiggle the handle off the wheel. Next, the top cover has 8 3mm head screws from the front to the back. Now you'll want to go ahead and slowly lift the top cover. Keep in mind that there is a cable, so we'll reach in here and remove that cable.
Now with the zip tie removed, just be careful of this antenna, and then there's 3 3mm screws holding this box together. Now underneath here there are some plastic spacers, so as you remove the screws, just make sure not to lose the spacers. So these here are the plastic spacers that you want to make sure you don't misplace them. So in total you should have 3 3mm screws and 3 spacers. Now with those screws removed, you'll see the Ride Connect module is nice and free. Now what you'll want to do is unplug it either from here if you want to do it temporarily, or you can take the plug right off the board for a more permanent solution. Now this metal piece here is the stand for the Ride Connect, but what I would say is if you do remove your Ride Connect module, it would be good to tape or zip tie your antenna back here because this antenna is for the Bluetooth. Otherwise, this will be dangling and it's not ideal. However, if you want to remove the stand, there's 2 3mm screws, 1 on each side, and we'll go ahead and remove those. Got 1 screw down here, so just make sure you grab that out and don't leave any dangling screws in your control board. So you have 2 3mm head screws.
In order to replace the USB port now, we're going to go ahead and unplug the connector that connects to the charge port. And then there's 1 connector here that connects to the main board. So we're going to go ahead and stick our finger in there to release this latch in order to be able to pull it up. Now with both of those connectors gone, if you pull off this cover, now we're going to remove the 2 screws, 1 on each side. We have our Phillips screwdriver, and we're going to go ahead and unscrew it. Now again, make sure you don't lose these screws. They're quite small and easy to drop out of place. Now the USB port, once unscrewed, will come off the back of the wheel. And then what you're going to do, once unscrewed, you can go ahead and lift the USB port out of the way. Now what I would do is I would use your finger to see if you can grab these 2 screws out just so you don't lose them. Now they do have these 2 plastic washers on the head, so make sure you don't lose those washers, as that's for the watertight seal. When reinstalling your new charge port, making sure that it has the water seal before you install it in place will make sure that it has the best longevity. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to place it in here. You'll see the ports line up. Once you line up the ports, you can hold it with 1 hand, and then you can use the other hand to place the screws into place. You want to grab your screwdriver. Once you know it's threaded, we're not going to tighten it yet. We're going to go ahead and make sure both sides are threaded in. Okay, once both sides are threaded in, we're going to go ahead and tighten it by hand, and then just add a 1/4 turn. And 1/4 turn. There you go. Now that the charge port has been physically constrained, we're going to go ahead and grab that plug, and it's going to go into this red far plug here. So we're going to squeeze this wire through here and plug into this far port that is red in color. Now yours might be white, yours might be red, but it is into that port right there. Now lastly, what we don't want to forget is we have this extra plug from the charge port that also needs to be connected to this USB charge board. Let's go ahead and plug that in right there. With that done and out of the way, we want to make sure that our taillight cable is tucked back into place outside of the board.
Now to reinstall the Ride Connect, what we're going to do is grab the metal frame for the Ride Connect. Now the point with 2 screws is towards the left of the wheel, so you can match up the mounting holes to the plate. And then we're going to grab our 2 short 3mm head screws. And lightly place them in the threading. Now that we have one place, we're going to put the other side. And once both sides are in the threads, we're going to tighten them down. Just make sure it's snug. You don't need to over tighten. So both of those are snug. We got a nice bracket. Next, we're going to grab our ride connect. However, you have to remember that we did remove 3 of these white spacers. So make sure you apply these spacers before putting the ride connect box on top. So these spacers will go between this mounting plate and the ride connect box. So sometimes what I like to do is put the screws in the holes, and this will help me align and capture those spacers. Once you've captured the spacers, we're going to go ahead and take your 3mm and try to align the screw to the hole. We got one in, the second one. Now, before you tighten down these screws, you want to make sure that there's no cables or stress in the way. So like right here, the battery cable is applying some pressure. Make sure we squeeze that down. We have the ride connect connector here. So just make sure you align this slot with that notch. And when you do, you can go ahead and plug that in, just like that. Again, there's also these 2 arrows that line up the direction, and then just making sure that it's a snug fit with a click, as you heard. So now let's go ahead and tighten down this ride connect box. Again, finger tight, not too much torque, but just enough to be tight. Okay. Now before we wrap this up, there used to be a zip tie here for the antenna. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tape the antenna to this box with a small bit amount of tape. Just like that.
Now when putting the top cover, you'll want to make sure you plug in the display cable, which is near the ride connect module at the back. With that clicked into place, we're going to put down our top cover while making sure that none of the cables are being pinched or have the ability to be pinched. With that in place, we'll put all of the screws lightly in first. Now that all the screws are in place, we're going to go and tighten them down one at a time. Now when you tighten them down, just make sure that the body line sits flush with the body, and this will make sure that you have the best eye aesthetic experience. Now lastly, we have the trolley handle. I'm going to place it in the groove and screw it down with the 3mm screws, 4 of them. With that all done, you should be good to go and turn on your wheel.